I've told you 100 times, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, it's an isolated incident.
You get to determine what is our pet.
Snakes, a lizard, and a crocodile were removed from a home in Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
My Lord, a snapping turtle. Wow.
Lord, has that group become a toxic dumpster fire. Hi guys, welcome back to the Scaley Scoop here on Tipping Scales. As always, I'm John, and this is Buttercup. I'm only going to touch on the Samson Pruitt thing for a moment today, because a few things have transpired since my last video. If you don't know who Samson is or who I'm talking about, feel free to check out this video over here. I did a half-an-hour feature on that. Is the biggest case of recorded animal neglect in history in the reptile hobby. So for those of you who have not kept up or who have been blocked from the Slither Files group for having a conscience or rational thought, here's your update. So on June 12th, Samson called the Lee County Sheriff's Department to come and do a tour of his new facility. This is not the same facility where the pictures have come from. That was in North Carolina, this is in South Carolina. He posted this photo to his Facebook and had this to say about it. Due to the recent allegations and threats, I had no choice but to involve law enforcement myself. We made some new friends today, invited them out for a full inspection of the new facility, passed with flying colors, and began the process of reporting every threat received. Just another day. While this was first thought to be a stunt on Samson's part, it's now been confirmed by Bishopville Animal Control and the Lee County Sheriff's Office that this visit did take place, and they have said everything there appears to be in order, but they will continue to monitor the situation. As it stands, Samson is now currently banned from Morph Market, along with the majority of reptile expos in the country, with the exception of Repticon, who hasn't outright banned him, but they did say he's unable to get a table at this point in time due to other circumstances. Take that as you will. It also seems Samson is in financial straits, according to a few sources, where he's asking for more money in already agreed upon transactions and is desperately trying to sell more animals to keep the lights on. So that's a good thing. It means, that this is all having some effect. But what does that mean for the animals still in his possession? Kevin McCurley brought this question up in a Instagram live that he did. So yes, Kevin has finally touched on this subject. And I think it's a good question. What do you guys think? What should happen to these animals that are in his possession currently that we can't seem to be able to get out of there legally? I'm afraid to think what more financial struggles for Samson means for those animals. It is kind of a double-edged sword. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Now, I said in the last video that I would touch on the Garrett Hartle situation being associated with all of this. Garrett has since put out his own video discussing what happened in his own words, and I will leave a link in the description for you to go check that out yourself. Because he put out his own video, I'm only going to talk about this from a wider perspective. So everyone heard the rumors about Samson. Yes, that's true. When people say they didn't know, it doesn't mean that they didn't hear the rumors. It means that they didn't know that they were true. It means they spoke to Samson and he used his manipulative gift of gab, his silver tongue, to convince them that the rumors weren't true. Even Lucas, who spearheaded this entire investigation, fell into this trap.
Right, and I think the whole rumor mill, right? Before this information came out, it was always, it's his dog conviction, dog fighting, animal abuse, and that stuff. That was always the fact stuff, right? And then Samson has this way of speaking to convince people otherwise of what he didn't do or did do. And I gotta give it to Samson. The guy can talk, and so people would listen to that and they would kind of start to discredit some of the other stuff. But there's pictures back in like the early 2000s and 90s of his collection looking like complete shit. And then he gets arrested, goes to prison. He gets out, doesn't learn. When I got into the retic industry, sad to say, he was the first connection I made. He was a mentor of mine, and that sucks even to say that out loud.
That is crazy. That's crazy that this guy Samson somehow, and you're not the only one probably, but let's go into it. So you first get into the game and your mentor is Samson, the one behind Slither. Let's hear about this.
So I got my first retic in 2018 that was from him. Even before 2018, I was plugged into the Facebook groups and started doing my research like a couple of years before I even got my retic. And first person I ran into that bred retics that I saw post was Samson. I reached out to him, asked a bunch of questions. I talked to him and he's teaching me. I get my first snake and I finally started plugging into more groups than just, once I decided to get some animals and start to build a collection, right? And I started getting animals from other people. That's when my ear started like perking open and I started hearing about all this shit about Samson and dishonesty and owing people thousands, tens, $20,000. And then I started hearing more about the truth of his the neglect and stuff. And at some point I got tired of like trying to explain Samson's truth. And I was like, let me actually listen. And he ended up doing me dirty on a pretty big purchase of some animals that I got that kind of made me cut ties with him before I even knew that, before I even found out about this. I cut ties because of him lying to me, deceiving. I spent a lot of money on animals that, he said were proven breeders, but the female, she laid a clutch, but all the eggs ended up being it, but he said all of them came out perfect. And I spent over $10,000 on that purchase. And so basically what ended up happening was he kept threatening me after I broke off a breedership loan with him. It was a Facebook Messenger loan that we agreed on. I bought the Coyote, my first snake, from him for half off. And I decided to pay him the rest of the half and said, I'm not sending you these animals, because at that point I had heard everything I needed to. I have heard how terrible of a business person he was. I broke it off. And after that, just kept threatening me over and over about going public. And I decided I was going to be patient. I was going to take a seat back and I was going to wait for him to do it. I had a reply ready. And then one day on my birthday, he pissed me off. He threatened me and I basically just went public with it first. And that's kind of what people started reaching out to me with information about how bad the neglect and abuse was. But yeah, man, it sucks to say I started off with him being a mentor of mine. And it was something that I don't hide. I'm very honest about, but he got me, like, straight up. I was new, excited. He got me. And, but I don't know. I hopefully what we're doing now with getting the information out there is making up for that crap.
I'm showing this to clearly show you that saying that everyone who's ever done business with Samson must be complicit. They must have known. Is clearly ridiculous. Yes, they can know the rumors, they can have heard the rumors, but they didn't have the proof in front of them. It's utterly ridiculous to hold anyone to that kind of standard. We're very quick to condemn because this is a topic that is very easy to be passionate about, because animal abuse is a horrible thing. But the focus needs to remain on Samson and not all of this infighting that in a lot of ways is largely hypocritical. I made pretty clear in my last video that I felt like folks who have had dealings with Samson in the past and have not come public and not renounced him, from an optically speaking position, they look complicit. Doesn't mean they are complicit, but from an optics standpoint, it does appear that way. Now, Garrett has finally come out and made his own video on this. He has said that he's not going to do any more business with Samson, and he's publicly renounced him. There's a lot of people that are going to go, well, but he did do that, and then he apologized to Samson. Well, in 2020, Lucas was still doing business with Samson. In 2020, Lucas was still defending Samson. All I'm trying to say is that the standard we hold one person to is the same standard we should hold everyone to. I'm not saying Lucas should be condemned. I'm saying let's paint the rest of this with the same brush. Does that sound fair and logical? I think it does. Our focus in this should be the folks that are still doing business with Samson, not the ones who have said they publicly regret it, would never do business again, and have renounced Samson. Not the ones who have been extremely transparent in their facilities and animal care. If we're focused on animal abusers, let's stay focused on animal abusers. That's my take on that. Doing anything but that turns this into a witch hunt. And that only serves to hurt the credibility of this entire thing, which I'm sure Samson is getting a kick out of us doing, going after people we hate, people he also hates, tearing each other apart, taking the focus off of him. So stop it. Stop it. Come on now. If you would like to have a discussion about this topic or any reptile news related topic without fear of being bullied or banned, head over to our Scaley Scoop Facebook group, link in the description. And I promise not to censor you in order to push an agenda or some personal beef I have. It's funny, Adam Wickens was involved in all of that nonsense going on over in the group, and he did send a lot of people over there initially, and he said he might do a follow-up video to that. I don't know if he actually will, but it would be interesting to see, so keep an eye out for that maybe. It has become a serious dumpster fire in there. So head over to the Scaley Scoop Facebook group, and we can have some respectful conversations about whatever you want to talk about. Our next story is yet another battle we're facing as a hobby and what we can do about it. And then I promise we'll get into some victories and heartwarming stuff. In a previous video, a couple of videos ago, I mentioned Marco Rubio pushing for Lacy Act Amendments. For those who missed it, what's basically being proposed is a whitelist ban on interstate travel, interstate animal transportation and importation. An amendment like this could be very damaging to the hobby because it could prevent people from shipping animals that are sold state to state. It could even make moving with your pet a federal offense. This amendment, as it stands, would also affect reptile rescues and zoos. So to view the full bill, you can check out the PDF down below. I linked it in the description. You can get a full understanding of what it is exactly that Marco Rubio is proposing. So how can we speak out against this? What can we do about it? You can go to the website also listed in the description, don'tblacklistpets.com. There's a petition there that you can sign. It takes about 30 seconds. It's super easy. So give that a look when we're done here. Okay, on to some good news. On Wednesday, another non-native species tag meeting was held, and this one brought with it proof of what we can accomplish when we band together as a community.
I'm sure what everybody is interested in hearing is, was there any actual policy update, any hint of rules to come? I didn't hear that much of that was really covered, but
you got a year.
What did anything happen on that today?
Well, one thing that Sarah Funk did make clear, at least, and she did reiterate as of right now, that proposal 2 that everybody was worried about happening at the last commission meeting, that's not even on the discussion table right now. So that whole importation, if it's had a full risk assessment, all of that is off the table as of right now.
That's certainly a relief. We had, that one was just, obviously a complete industry killer. So it's good to know that that's not even an option. I mean, a lot of us were still very concerned with option 1. It's still quite restrictive and has a lot of red tape to it. But maybe if they're open-minded and they can listen to the concerns now of the industry folks who can tell them why certain parts of these rules or proposals won't work, they'll be a little more open-minded about that going forward.
Option number 1 is not really in discussion right now. So as of right now, again, option number 2 is totally dead as of right now, and option number 1 may come back later, but no discussion or no frame on for it to come back.
That is correct. Neither Florida whitelist ban seems to be on the table anymore, and that is thanks to USARK and all of you who voiced your opinions at the commission meeting and wrote emails and all of that stuff. For a glimpse of what that looked like at the FWC commission meeting, you can check out this video up here. So well done once again, USARK, and everyone who is a part of that on every level. If you're still not a member of USARK, the link is below, as it is in all of my videos. This video is getting a little longer than I planned, so I'll wrap it up with one more story and leave you with a little something to marinate on. We all know Robert Irwin, Steve Irwin's son, is following very closely in his father's footsteps as a conservationist and animal educator. But just how close? Check this out.
In mid-western Queensland, where we take a very unfortunate spill, nearly kill both of us. Son of a gun.
Anyone familiar with The Crocodile Hunter remembers this iconic shot of Steve getting tagged in the face by a wild carpet python.
Son of a
Now
gun.
check out this deja vu.
When I first found this guy, there is no way
Robert posted this on his Twitter account last week, noting the irony. That post really brought me back, and it really also got me thinking. How would Steve Irwin be received in this current climate? Would he be picked apart for sensationalism, or trying to get views, or doing it all for fame? Would the man who is responsible for so much of us being in this hobby at all someone who has done more for conservation and wildlife education than just about anyone on the planet, would he be targeted by you now? I know your knee-jerk reaction is probably going to be to say no, but really think about that as you levy your judgments on everyone else in the community. Think about where those judgments are really coming from. Not one of us is perfect. All we can do is try to grow and learn. I'll leave you with that to think about. If you liked what you saw, click it. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you didn't like what you saw, still please consider subscribing. That way you can have something else to complain about on the internet once a week. Remember to be kind to yourselves and each other. That includes online. Who you are online is still the real you. You're not out of your faculties or possessed by internet demons. It's still you. Okay, somebody take this soapbox from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.